Hi, everyone. In this week's video, what we want to explore is whose responsibility is it within an organization to engage in diversity, equity, and inclusion work? So last week, we explored one of the pitfalls, which is not having the engagement of your senior leaders. And one of the things that I always get asked before an engagement when I'm talking to prospective clients is what are the pitfalls that they can encounter? And this piece about responsibility is a topic I always address, because what happens is, as much as we need senior leaders to be involved and to be bought in and for them to set the tone and the vision at the beginning of this work, the responsibility is a shared responsibility between everyone in the organization. But what happens is, like many projects within an organization, is some might carry the weight more than others. And where this starts to become a little bit dangerous is when we start putting the responsibility, the burden of this work on underrepresented groups, primarily. And what happens there is that then those that need to develop their skill set and their depth of knowledge in this space are not always engaged in this work. So even though your Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Council or your ERGs can have underrepresented members on their committees, you also need to make sure that in some way, shape, or form that these ambassadors of diversity, equity, and inclusion are reaching out to other members in the organization and engaging them in allyship. Because if we don't have the buy-in from other members in the organization, what happens is these individuals who feel like they might be carrying the burden without that shared responsibility, this work can fade out. Or you can tire a few that are doing the majority of the work. So if your organization is engaging in diversity, equity, and inclusion work, what are the strategies that you're putting into place to make sure that those that might be your ambassadors for this work are reaching out to others? How are you bringing in other people to engage in this work so that it's a shared responsibility? And as I mentioned last week, making sure that we always engage the senior leaders, but that the burden is not on the shoulders of a select few. More and more, we want to make sure that it is a shared responsibility. And if you have tactics that are working really well with you in your organization, then I invite you to share them in the comments below.